Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Doug Nesbitt, Director of Affinity Partnerships for CMG Financial, and I want to welcome you to the consumer webinar for HomeFundIt. This webinar is designed for consumers who are future home buyers who are considering buying their first home or maybe buying another home, and want to show you how HomeFundIt works and how you can use this tool to build a bigger down payment and how it can really be a game changer from the standpoint of buying your home. We typically address this webinar for first-time home buyers, but you don't actually have to be a first-time home buyer to use a tool like HomeFundIt. With that in mind, let's go ahead and get things rolling here. And I'm going to make sure I'm recording everything correctly. Okay, let's get going here. First, a little bit about CMG. The company was founded in 1993 by Chris George. He's our president and CEO. He's currently the chairman of the Mortgage Bankers Association. If you're not familiar with them, you might be familiar with the National Association of Realtors. It's the sister organization to the National Association of Realtors, only on the lending side. We're headquartered in San Ramon, California, which is east of San Francisco, a little ways in the East Bay area. And we're one of the nation's largest privately held mortgage banking firms. I think we're the #2. We do about $1.5 billion in mortgages monthly, puts us as a top 15 lender. And we've got loan officers and retail branches all across the country. Being a privately held company, we were able to do some pretty innovative things called innovation. And one of the programs that we've done that's very, very innovative is a product called the All-in-One Loan. I call it the most powerful loan on the planet. If you haven't gotten familiar with that program, ask your CMG loan officer about that program, because it's a mind-blowing program that will change the way you think about mortgages and your money forever. But what we're here to talk about tonight is how first-time home buyers can use a tool called HomeFundIt, which is our other huge innovation, to build a bigger down payment and get into a home faster. HomeFundIt really does address the #1 issue that most first-time home buyers have, and that is the down payment. #2 issue being credit, but #1, most people have trouble these days saving enough money for a down payment that's adequate in size, and we're going to talk about how HomeFundIt can really change the game there for you. There's a number of great reasons for wanting to build up a larger down payment, or as large a down payment as you possibly can. It makes it easier, obviously, to qualify for a smaller mortgage because you're putting more down, having a smaller mortgage, and that's easier to qualify for. Your mortgage payments are going to be smaller, more comfortable. That's lower risk, obviously. It reduces the need for private mortgage insurance, which increases the cost of your monthly mortgage payment each month. So you want to make sure that you're borrowing as little as you really need to. And obviously, if you're borrowing less, if your home falls in value, there's less of a chance that all of the equity that you have in your home will be eaten up if the home value falls. We saw this back in the mortgage meltdown, the real estate meltdown a few years back, where homes fell in value and people ended up owing more on their home than it was worth. So obviously, if you're borrowing less, you're putting more money down. Even though your house may fluctuate in value for a time, there's less chance that you'll owe more than what the house is worth the more you put down. Seems logical, and it is. A lot of people don't know that there's a lot of down payment options out there. And the old rule used to be put 20% down. And in fact, you still hear people talking about 20% down, got to put 10% down, etc. But there are a number of programs out there today in wide use that will allow you to get into a home for as little as 3% down. Those are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac programs called Home Possible and Home Ready. We work with those programs, FHA loans, VA loans, also very low down payment options. All of those come with mortgage insurance, except for VA loans, but all of those come with mortgage insurance. The nice thing about the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac programs is that the mortgage insurance terms are a lot more flexible. It's easy to get out from under the mortgage insurance as you pay down that loan, whereas with FHA, it's not quite as easy. So the programs that we work with HomeFundIt are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac programs. But the good news here on this slide is that you can get into a home for as little as 3% down. And in lots of parts of the country, that makes it very, very affordable. So the old way people used to put together a down payment, and the traditional way, is to rely on their own savings, obviously, and in about 25% of cases, people are getting a little bit of help from the bank of mom and dad. Mom and dad want to make sure you don't live on the couch forever, so off you go, and here's some dollars for your down payment. However, under Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines, any relative can help out. So not just bank of mom and dad, but grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, cousins, sisters, etc. However, those folks are rarely asked. It's really interesting. And the reason is it's a little bit uncomfortable to ask all of those folks to write a check to you and send it to you, etc., and provide a gift letter, and in many cases come up with financial statements that show where the money comes from. So it's very, very difficult. There's lots of barriers involved. And that's where we jumped in and said, hey, what if we could fix that? What if we could make it so that it's a lot easier for all those relatives to jump in and give because they know you, they love you, they want you to do well, right? And we want to make it easy for you to ask those folks and for them to provide assistance. And that's where HomeFundIt comes in. We built HomeFundIt with an exclusive exemption from the normal Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines. And what that does is it allows us to go from just having parents to giving, but to expand that circle so that grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, etc., can give online with just a few clicks. And we didn't stop there. We actually got another exemption that allows us to bring in funds only on the HomeFundIt platform from friends. And that means friends, teammates, coworkers, and in many cases, wedding guests. That's a very big one. But basically, you don't have to be a relative if you use the HomeFundIt platform. All those folks can give online with just a few clicks, no offline paperwork, up to $5,000 per donor. So it's a very large amount per donor. There's no upper limit on the total number of dollars that you can gather in a HomeFundIt campaign. But what you're doing is you're taking the friction out of the process of allowing those folks to give simply with a credit or debit card. They don't have to write paper checks. They don't have to provide gift letters offline. It's just very, very simple to do that. And all the funds that come in on this platform are pre-approved by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. If you tried to do this on a platform like GoFundMe or Kickstarter, you'd have some big problems with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac as they underwrote those loans because they would wonder where those funds came from and they wouldn't be pre-approved as they came in. You'd have to go back and document all that stuff. So it doesn't work on those platforms. Only with HomeFundIt, with the exclusive exemption that we have from Fannie and Freddie. The gifts can come in as pure gift, and that's usually things that come in from your relatives. It can come in as a contingent gift based on you actually buying a house. Otherwise, those givers get their money back. So either way, and that's up to the donor how they do that. They make that decision as they give. There's no commissions or hidden costs, no credit card commissions, no crowdfunding conditions or anything like that. All of those costs are covered by CMG. It's very, very easy to set up one of these campaigns. You simply go through a few steps, a few simple screens. You upload some pictures, name your campaign, write a little story, upload your photo, upload your dream house picture or any other picture you want, link it to your social media, link it to email, start sharing, and away you go. Here's a quick picture of a typical campaign page. Very easy to set up. As I said, just takes a few minutes. This person uploaded a nice picture. It's Charleston, and she's named her campaign Evie's First Home. They write a little story. Usually the best stories are the ones that really, in real terms, tell you why you'd like to be a homeowner, right? What it means to you. Why is it important for you to buy a home now? What is that? Lots of different types of stories, but when they speak from the heart, the people who come by the page, the friends and relatives, they get it and they give. Real estate agent and loan officer featured on the campaign as well. There's a place in the upper right where you can set a goal and track progress towards that goal, and a blue button where people can contribute to your campaign. Nifty little thing here in the middle right called Up It. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but it's a second way to add dollars to your campaign. And in the bottom right, this is where you're collecting all the dollars coming in. You can see that on the bottom right hand part of the campaign. Anytime someone donates to the campaign, you'll see that donation there. Up It, as I mentioned, is this new thing that we added back in December. And it's the first and only way to shop for a bigger down payment. You simply invite your family and friends to come by your campaign page and shop just like they normally would, only using this link here on your page. And that automatically links their shopping trip to your page. And you can shop at any one of about almost now 600 online retailers for an average rebate of 7.6%. It varies by retailer, but simply, again, all they're doing is coming by your page, clicking the button, and they can shop at any one of these retailers. Each one of them varies. Here's Walmart. They just joined the program. We're really excited this last summer. And Walmart's giving 4% back towards your down payment. Again, as I said, each retailer is a little bit different. But the bottom line is, when you invite your family and friends to come by and do their shopping here, instead of going directly to those stores, some of that money is going to come back into your down payment. So it's a great way to add dollars to your down payment. Again, all the retailers you know and love are in here, exception being Amazon, because they've got their own kind of charity program. But it's a great way to get people to come by your campaign page. And oftentimes, when you come by the campaign page, you'll see them giving a regular donation in addition to doing a little bit of online shopping. You have full control over your campaign, so you can link it to social media if you want. You can link it to your email and send email updates from here if you want. You can change your picture, your story, anything you want, reset your goals, track progress, see how many people came by your campaign page. You have a full control panel on your campaign. Now, the nice thing here is that CMG, as the lender, we get involved to help you gather more funds. And we match those donations 2-to-1 that are coming in up to the lesser of $1,500 or 1% with an instant $100 to start, which means all you need to do is raise $700 to get this $1,500 matching grant. And we pay that towards non-recurring closing costs. So that leaves you with more money for the down payment if you don't have to pay for closing costs on your loan. And that's for first-time homebuyers who complete lender-paid homebuyer education prior to signing a purchase contract. So those are the only two conditions. You have to be a first-time homebuyer, and you got to complete lender-paid homebuyer education prior to signing a purchase contract. So it's a great way to bring in some extra dollars because that incentive is going to help you get out there and raise dollars. On top of that $1,500 incentive, very shortly here, we're going to be announcing another incentive called the Freddie Mac Borrow Smart Grant, which sits on top of the $1,500 that CMG offers. And that is a separate grant for folks using Freddie Mac programs like the HFA Advantage or Home Possible loans, which are down to 3% down payment, or other qualifying affordable mortgage products from Freddie Mac. And your loan officer will help you decide if that's a loan program that makes sense for you. But if you have income that is basically below 100% of the area median income for your county, you're going to get an additional $1,000, $1,500, or $2,500, depending on where your income is, as you can see here. Depending on that income level, you're getting an additional amount. That's paid towards closing costs as well. So between the two of those two programs, it's a huge amount towards your loan closing costs or points for a better mortgage, a lower rate on your mortgage, etc. And that's coming out early next month, we think. So very exciting addition to the program. I mentioned homebuyer education. This is also part of the HomeFundIt package. It's no cost. We cover that for the regular homebuyer education. That is not part of the Freddie Mac program that I mentioned just a second ago. But it's online or over the phone, your call. Online takes a little longer because it usually goes at your speed. Over the phone is about an hour, hour and a quarter. So that's a little bit faster. And it covers all the various aspects of buying a home, which is getting ready, understanding mortgages, choosing the right home, making an offer, closing, and actually some tips on becoming a great homeowner. So all in all, it's a great thing. And we'll get in touch with you as soon as you're pre-qualified to make that happen. And again, we want you to do that prior to signing a purchase contract to qualify for that $1,500 lender grant from CMG. So here's how it all kind of fits together, because it's probably all very confusing, all these various parts. Once you set up your campaign page, and that's the very first step, you can use that Up It link on your campaign page to shop as long as you want, basically. There's no time limit on how long you can put a campaign page up and use the Up It shopping part. So we have people who are starting very, very early, like while they're still in college, setting up campaign pages and just doing their online shopping using the Up It. And that way that pledge builds up towards that down payment while they're finishing up college or maybe starting their first job, etc. When you get a little closer to actually buying your first house and really thinking this is time to get going, you want to get pre-qualified by your loan officer. And then once you're pre-qualified, you have 12 months to actually do regular fundraising, and that's the big blue button in the upper right-hand corner, to gather funds from your family and friends towards putting together that bigger down payment. And it's very, very simple. And we try to do the home buyer education, as I said, as soon as possible after pre-qualification, because what we find is that people get out there and do their house hunting really, really fast. The average campaign length is around 4 to 8 weeks. Even though you have a full 12 months, the only people we see going that far out are people who are planning weddings that are way out. Generally, when people get their family and friends involved and the dollars start flowing in, they're out there house hunting very quickly, which is why we push pretty hard to get the homebuyer education done early, because we want to make sure it's done before you get excited and make an offer on a house. And obviously that happens next. Then you're submitting a full loan application, closing, and moving in. The bottom line here is it allows you to close that gap from money that you might have saved up towards a house, whatever price. Usually most people are coming into the home buying process probably needing a little bit more dollars towards the down payment. And who couldn't use a little more dollars towards the down payment? Here's how it kind of breaks down when people get their relatives and friends involved. And this is based on looking at hundreds of campaigns. We see usually close relatives, that's bank of mom and dad in most cases, coming in for a couple grand each, or 2, 3, 5, depending on the number. Remember, 5,000 is our limit. It doesn't have to be this amount. It could be any amount, but generally the larger gifts are coming in from the closest relatives. Other relatives bringing in 3, 4, 5, 6 gifts of $250 to maybe $500, and then a smattering of close friends bringing in $50 to $100, saying, hey, don't forget to invite me to the barbecue at the housewarming party, right? And presto, you've got that gap closed, right? And that means you're moving into a house months earlier than you normally would have done so. On top of that, when you're bringing in dollars, you're getting a 2-to-1 match from CMG, and this is paid towards closing costs, so you get those covered. And on top of that, if you've been out there a little while doing UpIt shopping, you'll have some UpIt dollars on top of that as well. So this is how kind of typical gaps get closed using HomeFundIt. And again, this just puts you on the path to home ownership a whole lot earlier. The first step is getting pre-qualified. And so once you have got your campaign page up, we want you to get pre-qualified as soon as you're kind of getting into the mode where you're thinking about buying a home. So a lot of people get pre-qualification and pre-approval mixed up. So pre-qualification is really that process of, it's the first step in helping you understand kind of how much mortgage you're going to need to be able to buy the home that you want, and about how much of a loan you're going to be able to qualify for, how much buying power you have. And we also run your credit to uncover any issues that you might have with credit. One thing that first-time homebuyers very frequently run into is they haven't checked their credit, and then when it comes time they get their house, their heart set on a house, try to make an offer, try to get pre-approved for a loan, and then they find out there's some credit issues they need to resolve first, and meanwhile the house slips away. So pre-qualification is really critical to allow you to figure out where you're starting from, right? And then you'll have that starting point figured out, know about how much house you'll be able to buy. It's not a commitment. So this is not something you have to fill out a loan application for, but it just basically kind of gets things rolling. And again, it resolves things like uncovering credit issues, helps you understand what mortgage options you have, just helps you get some guidance starting versus at the very end of the process, and helps you plan and set goals. And again, as I said, a lot of people get this confused with pre-approval, and there's kind of a big difference here. One is pre-qualification is really that starting point, whereas pre-approval is when you're actually getting ready to make an offer. Pre-qualification is very easy. You're just verbally stating a lot of things to the loan officer about your income and your savings and things like that, versus pre-approval where we actually need some real documentation of your income and your bank savings and things like that. So pre-qualification, again, is this sort of light process that gets the ball rolling. It's meant for you. The whole point of pre-qualification is to give you some guideposts and milestones to kind of shoot for, to help you understand where you're starting from and know what you're able to buy. Pre-approval is different because we're actually dealing with a real loan application that goes in for underwriting with real documentation. And when that comes out and says you're pre-approved, it actually tells the seller that the lender, CMG, is ready to lend to you. So all you need to do is say yes to the purchase offer, and we have a deal. Pre-qualification, obviously, if you try to make an offer after you're pre-qualified but not being pre-approved, it would have to be contingent on putting in a loan application and getting an approval on a loan. But once you're pre-approved, there's no need to make a contingent offer. It's a valid offer that has a lender standing behind it. So those are the two very important steps. You need to do them both, but pre-qualification starts at the very beginning. So get pre-qualified. And once you're pre-qualified, we release the blue button on your campaign, and that allows you to actually start raising regular funds, regular contributions towards your down payment. Remember, the Up It link is live the minute you set up a campaign. So we don't mind if you're out there shopping like crazy up front. Those dollars are building up. But once you're pre-qualified and getting cash donations from family and friends, then we allow you to start raising those funds at that point. So when you're on the control panel, when you go into your control panel, you'll see up at the upper right here, there's a button up here that says Start Pre-Qual. And you can start doing the Up It shopping as long as you want. But once you click that Start Pre-Qual button, it asks you a bunch of questions that the loan officer is going to need to kind of help you understand pre-qualification. At that point, the blue contribution button goes live after you've been pre-qualified, and you can take in regular contributions from family and friends. So the second step, obviously, is really crafting your campaign page. And one of the most important parts of that campaign page is your profile photo, right? So you want to upload a nice profile photo that lets people know that there's a real human behind this campaign. And presumably, if your family and friends are dropping by the campaign page, they're going to want to see your nice picture on there. So that's your profile photo. And then you have what's called the campaign photo. The campaign photo is the main photo that's on your campaign page. And it can be anything, really. We see families, we see couples, we see wedding pictures, we see dream houses. But it's the main photo that people see along with that little tiny photo of you in the upper right-hand corner here. So the campaign photo does a lot. So it's a very important thing. So pick one that you know that your family and friends are going to react to and positively, and go from there. Here's a picture of one in a campaign page that I built. It's a dream home, and you can see it sitting right there. And you can change that anytime you want. The other thing that's really important is your story. And this is what tells people why they want to give to your campaign. You don't need to be a literary genius to write these. You just write from the heart. Tell people, just like you were talking to them, why it's important for you to buy a house, what you're hoping to achieve. And there can be lots of reasons for that. It could be you have a growing family. Maybe you have pets that really need their own yard. Maybe you want to start to finally enjoy the backyard lifestyle. Maybe you've got a garage hobby, working on cars or something, and you just can't live in an apartment anymore doing that. Or maybe you're a gardening buff and you want to really kind of cultivate and so forth. So that's another great thing to put in there. Maybe you've got a special occasion like a wedding. You want to talk about why home is important to you, why you'd like to finally move into your own home. Talk about what's your ideal home. What are the characteristics of that? Maybe where you're hoping to live. Maybe you're moving into a new city and you want your family and friends to kind of help you with your first place in that new city, with your new job maybe. Maybe talk about the biggest hurdle you've overcome. We've seen some great stories that talk about adversity and how they're hoping people will help you overcome that adversity. And when you're hoping to buy, let people know you want to buy before you get married or after you get married, or a certain month of the year, that kind of a thing, so they know kind of when about this is going to happen. And a message for family and friends. And make sure you thank them. Make sure that you thank them in advance for their help along the way. And don't forget to invite them to the housewarming barbecue. And then step 3 is to get out there and share. Gather those contributions. And a lot of people at this point, they start to get cold feet. They got their campaign page built, but they just don't want to share with family and friends. We're naturally reluctant to ask other people for help. But the truth is, in many cases, those people are more than happy to help out. Now, many of them know exactly how tough it is to save for that down payment. And here's another way to think about this. When you graduated from high school, you probably sent out graduation announcements to your relatives and friends, right? Same exact group. You weren't asking for anything by sending those out. You're just letting them know you're graduating. And what happened? Exactly. Lots of gifts showed up: cash, checks, gift cards, presents. Well, it's the same with HomeFundIt. This is a milestone also, just like graduating from school. And most of our clients would tell you that they expected mom and dad to give, but they were surprised at how many of their family and friends jumped in to help. And that's because they do want to help, right? And that's exactly the same thing. The dollars flow in, and you see that people really want to step up and help. So who do you share your page with? Well, parents, obviously, brothers, sisters, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, godparents. You've got close friends, coworkers, teammates, fraternity and sorority brothers and sisters, friends from church. We see lots of those types of things. Special occasions are huge, right? Now, weddings, it's important to take advantage of those gift-giving opportunities like weddings and engagements and anniversaries, etc. Birthdays are often big, holidays, graduations, obviously, and maybe you're accepted to a special program like a nursing program or something. Think about all the different occasions that you can leverage to tell people, hey, I've got a milestone, I want to buy this house, etc. You can do all that from the control panel. You can send messaging, you can share on Facebook, you can link to email and share on email. You can post updates to social media here and let people know how the campaign is going, etc. Very simple to post that. You can link all these things together. And you know what our tips are here for success is that you want to post often and share and be enthusiastic. Thank people in advance for this. And things typically go well. And this is what we see. We've completed about 600 campaigns now. The average campaign size is 3,000, and that's a mix of shared and unshared campaigns. And unshared campaigns generate very little. Shared campaigns generate more than this. So this is an average across all campaigns. The median donation is about $500. We've purchased well over 130 million in real estate now. Average loan amount is about 200,000, and the largest loan, lest you think we can't do this in California, we have. All of this is sort of the latest stats for the program so far. We've seen some whopper campaigns. These are folks who just share with their family and friends, and the dollars flow in. So this could be you. I mean, depending on your network, everybody's is a little different, but these are the campaigns that we see on the large end. And the things that make a campaign really work are a great photo, a great story, and this is, like we were saying, what home ownership means to you, your dream home, how you hope people will actually help. Invite them to the party and thank them, and invite them to come by and shop using UpIt. A lot of people find that invitation to come by and shop using UpIt is a great way to get people to the page, and then they see what it's all about and they make a regular contribution in addition to doing a little bit of shopping. And again, if you have a very long time horizon, let's say you're young and you're just getting started, it's a great way to use the campaign without being pre-qualified. So UpIt's a really neat way to go there. Share, post this thing on Facebook, email your family and friends, invite them to come by, and make sure you're invited to shop. Again, here's a picture of one of our nice campaigns. This one was kind of what I would call right in the sweet spot between 5,000 and 15,000. This was a $10,000 campaign, almost 11. They actually were setting a goal of 14, and the dollars flowed in, and they ended up stopping the campaign and buying a house. They found the house they wanted. They decided they didn't need as much. But this was dollars that made that mortgage that much smaller. And this was a couple out in South Carolina. And you can see a nice picture and a nice story on here. The campaigns we see around several kind of general themes. Families, obviously a big one. The one here on the right is one of our larger campaigns. I think it was our number 4 campaign. They raised about 31 grand. But they shared, right? And that's how you do it. You let people know that you have this milestone this goal you're trying to achieve, and those people step up and help. So family, obviously a big one. And then when people come by, they get it. Dream house, we see campaigns themed around the house people hope to be able to buy. You see campaigns that are themed around weddings. And one of the nice things is you can link this webpage to the Wedding Wire or the Knot, and people who are checking out your registries can come right back here. What we find is that people would much rather give towards a down payment than try to figure out which model toaster to buy you. So it's a great way to go. And then we see campaigns that are themed around young couples who are just kind of getting started and wanting to finally move out of an apartment and get their first home. We also see campaigns that are solo buyers, doing it on their own and asking their family and friends for help as well. There are a number of success patterns on campaigns. There's obviously the stalled campaign, which people set up a page and then they walk away. Obviously, there's no dollars there, no match, etc. And then there's what I call the minimal campaign, which is not shared. They set up a page, and then mom and dad come in for $700, and then they get the $1,500 closing cost match off of that, 2-to-1 plus the 100 we start you with. I would call that a suboptimal campaign because they're not sharing with anybody, so nobody knows but mom and dad. Mom and dad would have given the money anyway in many cases. So it's sort of underperforms for that reason. They miss the point. Over here where it says solid is what we call a regular solid sweet spot type campaign, where they have a good page with a good photo and a good story, and they share with family and friends. They let their family and friends know. This is not broadcasting to the entire universe. This is just letting your friends and relatives know that you're hoping to be able to buy a house, hoping they come by the page, check it out, maybe do a little shopping while they're there. And typically we see 5,000 to 15,000. And obviously you're going to get the CMG match for sure in that case. And we see campaigns that are bigger where they're sharing with many family and friends, and those campaigns tend to raise even more dollars. And again, it's completely up to you. But what we've learned is if you don't share, not much comes in. If you share a little, huge amounts come in. And there's a huge step change between people who don't share and people who do share. And you can see it goes from raising just a few $100s to raising lots of dollars. All of this is in a email series that you should be watching out for. So as soon as you set up a campaign page, you'll start to get some emails. We go into a little bit more detail in a series of 6 emails with little videos in them. So they're only about 3 to 5 minutes, but they'll help you really get a good start with a campaign and everything. And the bottom line is you can do this. We've seen hundreds of people do this successfully. It doesn't mean you're out broadcasting to thousands of people you don't know. It's just letting your family and friends know that there's an easy way for them to help you if they're interested. And trust me, they'll be interested because we see it every single day of the week here. So you can do this, and that's HomeFundIt. The bottom line is it's a tool for you to boost your down payment so you borrow less, come in a stronger position, come in with a little bit more down payment, and who couldn't use a larger down payment? So we hope you'll give it a go, and we're here to help along the way. Anytime you need to reach out to us, info@homefundit.com. We've got a great team that can help you through the process. If you get stuck, not sure where to go next, that's what we're here for. Our goal is to help people get into homes and have a bigger down payment. Thanks very much for watching, and go out and make it a great and safe evening. Take care. Bye.